Happy Mother's Day 2020. We are so glad that you are with us, the Pentecostals of Quinty. You may be watching from your kitchen, from your living room, on a computer, iPad, iPhone, maybe an Android device. But we want to say good morning and happy Mother's Day. We love you all. We miss seeing your smiling faces, giving any kind of gesture. I don't know what it's going to be when we get back to church, but probably not much. We'll wave from afar. But we often say to people, oh, you will never forget your quarantine birthday or anniversary, but you will never forget Mother's Day 2020. There is no restaurants open that you can go dine in. There are no spas that you can go to, but you do have your family, which you have been in quarantine with for quite some time. So I want to give honor today, actually, to my own mother, who is an amazing example and friend to me. During this time, I noticed a lot of her qualities that I have myself, which is cleaning, organizing, coming up with massive projects that then in turn create projects for my husband, which he's super happy about. But we love to keep things clean, to organize stuff. I've bought so many baskets online. Amazon is coming to my door because there is so much organization stuff being sent to my house. But during this crisis, I've often said we have to pivot. That's the word. We have to pivot. We have to change. We do not know what normal is going to be when we go back into our workplaces, our schools, all those things. But COVID-19 has felt like, at times, going to Canada's Wonderland. Have you ever ridden the Vortex or Behemoth? It goes up and down and up and down. The emotions of this pandemic are massive. There are times that you laugh. There are times that we have cried. There are times of frustration and stress. And it is tough. There are times that are because our calendars have been completely cleared. There was one day I just took my mouse and just started deleting on my Outlook calendar. Okay, that's gone, that's gone, that's gone, that's gone. And there's somewhat of a peace that has come into our lives because so much of our lives have been put on hold or canceled. And I don't know if this is a time or what has been your strength, but for me, it's been worship music and the Word of God. There's a scripture that we've heard many a times quoted during this time, and it's Philippians 4, and I'll just kind of say it to you, but it's, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation. So we can say, but in this COVID pandemic situation, by prayer, by petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And I think that's important right now. It's not just going to God and saying, you know what, I need you with this, I need you with this, but it's saying with thanksgiving, with gratitude. And I'm constantly telling my kids, we have to be thankful. We live in an amazing country of Canada. We are blessed beyond measure because we live in a country that is so well off because we have all of our needs met for shelter and food. But right now, it is difficult. There are times that it has been difficult when I sat, in my office and I was doing taxes for people, and just the tears would come streaming down my face because it is not easy to think, how are we going to navigate a new normal? Will there ever be a normal? Just grieving what was normal. But however, it's in those times that we trust God. We trust God because we know that He's been faithful in our lives in the past. It made me think, what was my normal? Was there something in my life in the past that shouldn't have been there? Are there things I can change? Which I know there's things I can change. Just taking more time to focus in on God. Do not let the distractions of life. But you can hear God a lot more clearly right now because we don't have the noise of life, of hockey, of skating, of events. Because God, when we need Him, He's there. He's been there the entire time, but we may not have needed Him like we need Him right now. God did not cause the pain, and that's not what I'm suggesting today. He didn't cause the pain of COVID-19, but he can use it in our lives for us to get close to God during this time. I feel like feelings have changed through this pandemic, through the weeks that we're in. I think 8 weeks or so that we're in. First, we're inundated with so much news, so much information, and they say, you know what, shut it off at the end of the night. Before you go to bed, do not watch a bunch of news. Do not maybe even look at Facebook posts where people are giving you more crazy news and all these weird ideas. And there's so much hate on social media right now and so much opinions that, sometimes you have to just shut down that type of voices in your head. But the storm we're going through is not just in Canada. It's not just in Ontario. It's the entire world. And on Mother's Day, there are people that maybe have never had children. Maybe they lost a child. Maybe they've lost a mother. But during this time of social distancing, today can be a difficult day, and we understand that. But we need to trust that God is with us. God walks with us each and every day. He walks with us even more. We're going to feel him even greater when we walk through difficult circumstances because we begin to trust him through those circumstances. The fear I have is that in the new normal, are we going to trust God that he is with us, that he is for us? I have learned in life to never say never. I always said to every one of my friends, I will never homeschool my kids. Now we are homeschooling 4 children. For a lot of us, this year with motherhood is being tested like never before. Before our kids went to school, we went to work, everybody went their own way. And in some ways, it's been very, very good having dinners at home, people say, and all those things, having more time together. But there's been a few times in our home that we were like, where is this kid? Oh, they wanted a bike ride. They're like gone. They just need a little bit of space. Or one other night, a kid, which I will remain nameless, just disappeared. She was in the car, sleeping in the garage, in the car. We just need some space. So sometimes in this time, it's been a journey. And being a mother is a journey, and it's a role that I've had to put massive trust in God with. We have navigated. I have 4 kids. Our second child was born with severe disability. She was born deaf-blind. It was 1 in 40,000 of a chance of that chromosome abnormality occurring. So it meant it wasn't in my husband or I, but it just transpired when she was born. And it is profound. She cannot feed herself. She cannot bathe herself. She cannot do anything for herself. Everything has to be done for her. And this was difficult to face. And as you know, this week we were supposed to go to Orlando for Disneyland with Make-A-Wish, but obviously that's been postponed, which is difficult, but you just go, you know what? This week they sent me an email and said, you're going to get Disney Plus free for the next 6 months because you didn't go to Disney. So anyways, the kids are kind of excited about that. But I've had to learn to trust God and have full faith in God when we had Brooklyn, because I could not control. I can't control what she can do. I can't control her development. I can put all kinds of physios and OTs, and I can put all kinds of doctors. But you know what? Only God controls the things that occur in our lives. I can't change her development if her genetic makeup is made that way. So when we try and change those things that we can't, we're just going to get frustrated. But we have to trust God that he's with us. And that's the biggest lesson that I have learned with Brooklyn. It's patience. It's like, God, you're with us. You have a way that is better than the way we thought. We thought maybe a normal child would be better for our family. But God, you determined the way that our family is going to be oriented. But God has helped me and our family. He's given us peace. And when I wanted answers for her care and her future, God has just stepped in. And in this pandemic, we all want control. We want to know what's going to happen next. And we, turn on in the news and say, okay, what's the live feed going to tell me today? And a lot of times you listen and it's like, oh yes, this is going to come and what's going to open? And then sometimes it's like nothing got open today. It's still closed or it's way off. And it's sometimes frustrating to watch the news. And soon we will be open, hopefully, and cottages might be opened, hopefully. But what we thought we were maybe our workplaces, where we thought we were going to work, it may not exist after we come to this pandemic. And I'm not being negative, but the reality is that this has been an economic downturn for our economy. And during this pandemic, people have faced fear. There's fear when you walk towards them. I go out on a run every morning for my mental well-being, and literally on the trail, it's like you play chicken with people. You're like, are you going to go right? Are you going to go left? You got to kind of pretend. I don't know if you've ever driven your bike downtown Belleville right now, but literally people are fearful when you come towards them. I'm like, I don't know. I have to kind of pretend you're the disease. Am I the disease? Who's the disease? But there's a fear. There's just a fear and a heaviness. If you've ever gone into the grocery store, which we all have had to go get food, and the lady just this week said to me, she goes, you are doing the shopping right. And I'm like, why? She's like, because you're buying everything. I had at least $400 of groceries every time I go because I'm not going back. I have to go back, but after we've gone through everything we have to go back for a big fill up. But it is fearful. When you come out of a grocery store, I've cried because it's just so, are you going to step in my space? It's just a fearful world and a heaviness that have come upon us. And that is when I've said, you know what, God, I trust you. I trust you. And I felt closer to God possibly in those times because he's with us. When we are afraid, he is with us. And you can be assured of that. What is the most important thing? What are you clinging to? What is your new normal going to be like? I look at this for my own life. What have I learned through this? What are the things I want to change in my life that was there before, but you know what? I don't want that to be there anymore. You know what, God? I want to take more time with you. I want to tune out distractions in my life so I can spend time listening and hearing from you for my life. There is such a strength in that. The children of Israel, and I can kind of go through this story a bit because I think it reflects on what we're going through. They had lived in Egypt for 430 years. They had been slaves to Egypt. It had become their world, and just like our world is completely changed in two months' time, they were in bondage for years and years, and Moses was leading them out. But no, the children of Israel said, no, we want to go back to what's familiar because what we knew was familiar. We do not want to go into something that we don't know what is facing us. And you might be asking right now, on these days when social distancing, God, why did this occur? Why did this happen? And I just want to read for you Exodus 11 and 14. It says, and they said to Moses, because there were no graves in Egypt, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness? Wherefore hast thou dealt with us to carry us forth out of Egypt? Is it not this the word that we did tell thee in Egypt, saying, let us alone that we may serve? They're saying, like, let us serve the Egyptians. We'd just rather be slaves in Egypt. For it had been better, this is what they're saying to Moses, it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in the wilderness. And Moses said, and this is important right here, fear ye not, stand still, and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will show to you today. And you know what? That's such an important scripture. It's Exodus 14 and 13. It says, and Moses said, fear ye not, stand still. You know what? Fear, COVID-19, it's fear. And it says, you know what? Fear ye not, stand still. You know why? Because God is on our side. You know, the job that you possibly complained about, you might be like, you know what? I'd love to go back to that job. You know, that teacher that you had a few issues with, you might be like, you know what? I'm ready for that teacher to be my kid's teacher again. But the children of Israel told Moses, their leader, they're leading them out, and they were going to be slaves. And they said, we would rather, we would rather die in Egypt than be alive in an uncertain future. Rather than trust God with their future, which he had proved time and time again, they would rather go back. We do not want to say that today. You know what? Our faith, it's a true test. Going through this crisis is a true test of, do we have faith? Do we trust in God? It's hard. It's difficult, but we have to trust that God cares. God takes care of us. Every one of us is facing something difficult. I can think of people that attend, even in our congregation. They're facing cancer. There's people that have lost loved ones during this time. There is no easy way. There are times that is going to come crashing in. And there's times when the weight is going to be on what we can even bear in ourselves. And in those times, I have to see, you know what, God, I trust you. God, I trust you. You've been with me. I remember the times you were with me before, and you are going to be with me when I go through what my new normal is going to be. We need to have faith. There's a scripture that's helped me so much with Brooklyn and dealing just with her development and dealing with just her care and just dealing, you know what, God, you know what, you never left us. He's taken care of us through anything we faced in our family. And it's Jeremiah 29:11. And it says, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you. This storm is not meant to harm you. It's not to take you off. It's not to take you out and leave you. But it says it is to give you hope and a future. And God has a plan for your life. He has a plan. And you know what? Sometimes in this situation, when you say a storm, a storm comes and it breaks apart things and things, you got to go pick them up. And there's going to be some picking up that's going to have to happen. There's going to be some things that were destroyed that we're going to have to rebuild. But God is with us. God is with us when we have job loss. God is with us when we have pain or when we have surgeries or when there is so many situations that we face that we can say, you know what, God, you are with us. God gives us peace. And you can ask why. Why a virus? That we have gloves, masks, constant hand washing, constant chemicals, and death. But because there is trouble, it does not mean that God does not hear us or God does not listen to us. And why are we clinging? Why are we clinging to things? We cling to things because we want control. And when things get out of our control, that's when we trust God the most. We must feel comfortable in the interruptions of life. I didn't say I like the interruptions in life. I think back, we grieve, we go, God, why can't it be like this? And it's those times that we grieve why things are not the way they were. And I've gone in and given food out in this community to nursing homes. We've gone to police station. We've gone to the COVID assessment center where those nurses are testing people. And it gives such satisfaction to be the church in this hour. Even if it's your neighbor, it doesn't matter. It can be the smallest thing, but right now, hope and smiling face. I said to somebody, they've gone to houses this week and given out pancake mix to moms. And you know what, just seeing a smiling face, it does joy to you. It probably does more to you when you do bless somebody else than it does to the other person, because you feel the satisfaction. God, you're working through me. You're helping me be salt and light in a community, in a world that's dark. It's never been this dark. There is fear. You can feel fear on the faces of people. And we have to make time. I have determined we have to make time for God in our lives. Pre and post pandemic, we have to make time because God is the most important thing in our lives, and he walks through every part. The children of Israel, they didn't remember, you know what, God, you've taken us before. You've helped us before, and they stood in front of the Red Sea and they remembered, and God, God, you split the Red Sea. And God is with us just like that. You know what? We come to a point, and you know what? Wow. God, you were with us the entire time, even if we did not feel you with us. And when he was lonely, when God showed up. When we lose jobs, I learned that God is my provider. We have some circumstances, but we have God in our lives today. He is with us. We do not want to waste this time that we have to depend upon him. We have to trust him. Where else are we going to go but to the Lord? I can have hopelessness, or I can trust God. You can have you know what? I quit, I give up, but God. And I have this is my verse, or my word for you, 2 words for you today. It says, but God. He's our provider. We lost a job, but God is with us. He cares for us. During COVID, we have to trust God. When you're homeschooling, you got to trust God. He is with us. He wants to be with us each and every day. He wants to walk with us each and every day. And during this time, don't waste the time that you have, but trust that God is with us. He is walking with us each and every day. And I just want to say a prayer today for us and our families, our homes. There's situations that people are facing. There are people that are in homes that, you know what, might not be the ideal home right now. There's situations happening that if there was addictions, the addictions get greater when there's hopelessness occurring. And that grieves my heart, because we want to be light. We want God to intervene in these situations. There's people that are dealing with sickness. There's not even a chance you want to have to go to the hospital right now. There's so many situations that people face right now. But my whole hope today is that you understand there is a trust. We can trust in his word. His word is true. We can stand on his word. And we trust him today to take us through. It's not going to be perfect. We're going to have to pick up pieces along the way. But God said, you know what? I will be with you. I will walk with you through the hard times. And I'm just going to pray. Jesus, we thank you today. We love you, God, that you are with us, God, through the difficulties in life. Right now, there are many difficulties. There is lost jobs. There is sickness. God, I pray there is even death, God, that's occurred during this pandemic loss. God, I pray, Jesus, touch families, touch homes. Give moms today a special low dose of love, God, I pray, as they deal, God, I wait with the role of motherhood during this time, during this pandemic. God, I pray, be with us. Let us focus in, God, I pray, on you.